Hello and welcome to another episode of Mitsubishi Mastered. I'm your host Tim Hyder. In today's episode we'll be looking at our latest software offering called Gemini. This is our digital twin software and we want to introduce you to line simulation and how easy that can be for your customer. Let's begin. I already have an instance of Gemini open. I have it licensed, everything's ready to go. And one of the first things you may be asked by your customers, how do I import their 3D CAD files? And it's extremely easy. We can come here to import geometry. And if you look, you'll see that there are many supported files. So everything CATIA, Autodesk, SolidWorks, all of the common 3D software platforms your customers would be using can be imported. I've got some things here. We'll start with this table or this tool cart. This is a step file. And what you'll see is we haven't actually brought it in, but we have an import GUI or a wizard. And we can hit analyze. So the thing to know about 3D modeling in 3D environments, everything is a triangle. So we could talk really specifically on this, but just know that when you play a video game like PlayStation 5 or Xbox, the characters are rendered in little triangles. And however, in the more triangles, the harder the system has to work. So when we import an image into Gemini, we want to ask the question, how many triangles do you want? If we're modeling a simple small machine or small layout, we can have a lot of triangles. In the processor of our server or PC, laptop, whatever we're using, might be okay. If we're doing an entire factory, we may want to limit the number of individual triangles making up those components. So when we hit analyze, we can see down here 75,000, and that's on low quality. If I would have come up here to medium quality and hit analyze, I can see 96,000. So either in this example, either of those is okay. Just know, and there's a lot of other things we can turn off. So the sample model might have multiple different layers and materials and hidden information associated with it. Basically, we can choose to bring in everything at the highest level triangulation, or tessellation is what we call that, or we can strip this down. So let's go ahead and hit import. Now we have the object imported. We have a nice view in the lower left-hand corner to see that object, so I can look at it from the top. And we'll bring this into view. I can look at it from the front. Now when looking at it from the front, it looks to me, let's go to the left, it looks to me like it's laid down. So let's bring this up. And this is just a free CAD object I found on the internet, downloaded it, and brought it in. So just to simulate your customer file. What we can do is we can modify the origin. So up here we see the origin, we can snap and move. What we can do is come in here. Let's go ahead and snap the origin again. It looks like it didn't take, so we'll snap it to edge and face. So edge and face right there. Apply that. Now again, we look at this from the front. Let's zero everything out, put that in the center, zero the radius, and okay. So now our origin looks correct as far as we've moved that origin point to the base, but we actually need to rotate this. So what direction would that be? I believe that's in the X. Let's look at the 90-degree rotation there, 180-degree rotation. Oh, that looks pretty good. Again, let's look at that from the front, zoom out. Zoom in. Yeah, I think we can work with that. That looks like the origin's at the base. So in the Z direction we're good. We need this to be 180. So let's go ahead and move this to 180 and apply that. And now go to the front, zero everything out. So 180 is what we need for the rotation. So let's go to move and say 180 and apply. And then zero this out, and now we've taken the origin and flipped the X origin 180, and so then when we reset everything, reset our X's and our Y's, reset our X, Y, Z, and reset our rotates, now the object's about where we want. At this point, what we would do is we want to save this object, so the next time we import it, it's got the correct origin. So we could come here to File, and we could do a Save As. And we may want to save this into My Models. So by default, the software has a tab called My Models. and we'll call this rotated cart. Now I'm going to start a new project by hitting Control N, and I'll bring in that cart. And if I come here to my collections in the e-catalog, which we'll get to in a minute, I can see all models or my models. And when I click on my models, it will search that folder and I can see the rotated cart. So I can bring this into my project and it's in the correct orientation. Perfect. So now what I want to do is add some components. So create some components and then have a person pick those components and move them to another area so I can analyze a line process and line study. If I go back to eCatalog, this is one of the greatest things about Gemini. You will see over 3,000 models already created for your use. So if we come here and we just do pathway, for example, this will provide us with a lot of what we need. Pathways are going to be your base, so you're going to tell where do I want the operator to walk. Actually, let me click on models by type so it selects all of those in there and then search for pathway. So now it's specifically looking at all the default models. And it found a lot of different things that are associated with pathways. I'm just going to come up here and search through here to, okay, PM resources. I see the pathway. I can drag that in. And I saw a person in there, so I have a human called Anna and a human called Otto. I can drag one of those in. I need a way to control them, so I'm going to come back here and I'm going to say human transport controller. That's kind of like just the brains. We say, what do we want the human to do? That will be the brains of that operation. Now, we need parts to be created here, and we can go into extreme amount of detail. We could click on the modeling tab, for example, and we could click this object and we could give it all sorts of behaviors, create a product, have a flow path for the product, add some Python script, but we don't need to do any of that. And that's one of the benefits of Gemini. So we can just come back here to the Home tab and we can use go to eCatalog, we can find a default object called feeder. And this will just create a part. So coming down here to feeder, bring this into the model. This is not just a block. This is a block that has behaviors associated. Again, that will just create something. So to move this around, when I'm in the Home tab, I can just come to Move, and I can select the little blue square, and that will be in the Z-axis plane, keeping the Z stable, and I can move this around, bring it over here. Maybe I want to rotate this, so I can easily rotate if I click on the blue. When the blue arc is displayed, oops, my mouse is a little bit finicky. Blue arc is displayed, I can rotate this like blade, I can get a very specific angle. If I'm not able to define it through that way, I can come over here and actually just say -90, and now that's been assigned. So now that I have my feeder, that's going to create a part from this cart. So this would be simulating somebody coming up and picking a part up. Maybe you wanted a conveyor. I'm just going to add a conveyor just to show what that might look like. So I can come back to eCatalog, type in conveyor, search for all the conveyors and all the models that I have loaded. And I could also search for models that I've loaded myself. We have a very basic conveyor here, basic operation. I'm just going to load this in. And again, I'm going to drag this over. PNP is puzzle mode, so it'll try to puzzle piece things together. So with PNP selected, I can drag this, and then we should see it automatically rotated and snapped into place to that feeder block, because the feeder block said, hey, I want to create a part. The conveyor said, hey, I'm looking for a part. And so the behaviors automatically lined up. Again, it's a little bit more than what I want to go to here, but just know that that's possible. We also have interactions. So again, it's move the objects around, PNP, fitting them together in like a puzzle, or interact with just this object, and I can just drag this conveyor and lengthen it. If I wanted to be specific, I can always come into the component properties on the right and do that. But again, we're keeping it very simple. Now, if I just start this demo, I'm just going to hit start, and this is the other really nice thing about Gemini. At any given time, we can start the simulation. So just hit start. We can see now we're creating products from there, and they're coming down the conveyor. They're just a basic cylinder, And we will change that in a minute, but we want her to come pick these up and put them somewhere. So let's give somewhere for that to go. So I'm going to actually import another object. So import geometry from the desktop, and I did a step file. We'll do another step file for rectangular table. And again, the import model will show up. I can choose my tessellation, analyze that. Oh, that's a lot of triangles, 200,000 versus 90,000 before. Maybe I want to lower the tessellation, analyze again. 98,000, that seems about more realistic perhaps. So I'm gonna hit import, and now I have my object imported. I can move the object around. Maybe I want to put the object over here, and I need to get this up and rotated. So I'm just gonna do a quick rotation on this. So I want to just do a quick rotation. It looks like I need to rotate the X. So I'm going to come here and select the little X icon and rotate this about where I think is 90. I'll just manually change this to 90 and hit enter. And that looks pretty close to what we would want. Looks like the Z is in about the right spot, so I'm just going to leave that there. Now, she won't know to actually put it on the table, and the parts, even if she does put them on the table, they'll just stay there. So I actually want to just get rid of the parts. So when she puts them on the table, I'm going to pretend somebody else would have picked them up and done something, just to keep this simple. So we come to eCatalog, and we can say sync. So we'll search for sync, and I see sync process, so I'll bring this in. And I can bring this close to the table, and what I'll see is it's a little bit off from the table. Maybe I want it to be right on the table and just look like it's, you know, going to be on the table. So I say, how big is the table? Well, we have measurement function, so I can hit measure, and I can click the edge of the table, and down here at the base, I can snap this to the outer. That looks about right. That looks like 728 millimeters from the top of the table, or actually it looks like the bottom of the table down. So about 730, we'll just say 730. So we'll click out of this, go find that object again, and what is its height? It's saying it's at conveyor height of 700. So let's say 730. So our origin must be off. So that's 730 from the 0 spot, so our origin must be off for the table. So let's go ahead and change the origin just like we did for the other one. So we'll say snap the origin to the bottom of the feet here. Apply that. 0 everything out. And see where it put our table. Okay, it's over here, and it's not in the right orientation as we thought, but our Z should be correct. So let's go ahead and just rotate this 180, and that looks right. So our origin should be at the bottom of the feet. We should be 180. Let's click on move, and then just drag this over, back roughly in that area. Oh, perfect. So now we can see clearly that the object is exactly where we wanted, right on top of the table. We can click on that object and move that around in space as well. And maybe we want to move it. Oh, I clicked the wrong one. I want the blue highlight. There we go. Here's a better view. Put this right at the edge. So she's going to approach. This arrow means where she's going to approach. And now this is at the edge of the table. If we wanted, we can click both of these objects, and we can click group. And so now those will be a group, and we can move these together in space. We're not quite done yet. So now what we need to do is actually tell her to go pick these up. But we may want to not just have a generic cylinder object, maybe we want something specific. So I've also downloaded an object. So let's go to geometry and let's click on spinner. Now this is a SolidWorks assembly, so yet a different file, but it will import the same way. So we say open and analyze 200,000 triangles on low. That's fine, we're just gonna leave it. We'll hit import, And now we have a little fidget spinner if we zoom all the way in. So perfect. Now, we don't really need this visible per se, but we're going to leave it because it'll make things easier. We'll just put it over here with this human transport block that we don't even really care about. Now we've got the cart creating a part. So somebody's loading parts on the cart. She needs to go pick them, but they fall on this conveyor. When they get to the end of the conveyor, we need something to happen. So we're going to come back to eCatalog and we're going to say from conveyor. Oops, I spelled that wrong. Conveyor. And we will see an object called from conveyor process. We'll drag this in. And if we're on PNP, we should just be able to snap this right here to the edge. Rotate this view. The green arrow will turn green when it snaps into place. There we go. So now we can see that first green arrow, or first yellow arrow turned green. Zoom in on that so you can see that. That means that we had successful snapping. So the parts from the conveyor will go to this and it'll say, hey, I'm ready to be picked up. So that's what the from conveyor object. So again, this, I can't stress enough, this is some of the benefits of Gemini, is having these pre-built components that make it very easy. Now you see she's approaching from this direction, so maybe we want to say approach from the back, and that will change the direction. So she's going to come to the conveyor from here to pick those parts up. Now that we have all of our components, we've got the table, it will create a part, we've got the conveyor to move the part, we have a from conveyor block for her to know to pick it up, and we have a table to place the part, and then a sync object to actually get rid of it. At this point, we can actually start to model the process. So we go to the Process tab, and we want to select Products. And when we select Products, we'll see something called VC Cylinder come up. That is the little cylinder that's created. That's not what we want. We want to do the fidget spinner, so we'll call this Fidget. And we'll use this little cube with an arrow. Click on this object. There we go. Now it knows that the component is the spinner, and it's going to create those. So let's see if that works. Let me hit play, and that will start the simulation. Yep, there it is. At any given time, we can speed up the simulation too. So here we can see that we're going at 40 times speed, or we could select this back down to 1 times speed. So that's fully adjustable. We'll pause and reset the simulation. When we do the process simulation, there's 3 components. There's the products, like we just saw, we just selected the product. Processes, so if you select this, this will highlight the from conveyor and the sync. We're going to keep it simple. If I just click on this though, we can see any product in to any product out. So things come in from the conveyor and it will handle anything that you send at it. We're not being specific, but we could be. And then it will send that out. So you can imagine where maybe we want 3 objects to come in and we create an assembly out of that. So maybe 3 objects into a cardboard box. This is where we could say wait for 3 objects, put them in the cardboard box, and then she would come pick it up. So we can define the process at each station. We're going to keep it simple, like I said. We're just going to leave that. We also see there's a sync object, so take any product in and then remove it. So that's what the remove command does. We could add to that, like I said, we could come here and we have a whole laundry list of things that we could, like I said, make assemblies, get rid of assemblies, take components apart, use some Python script to do some advanced things. We're just keeping it simple in this example. So I'm going to close both of those. So we've got our products, we've got our processes, and now we want to do flow. And the flow is where we tell her what to do. And this could be a robot, it could be an AVG, it could be a human. We click on the human transport and we'll see it turn yellow. That says we want the human to do something. We'll click here and we'll say from conveyor, and then you'll see the line automatically, and then sync. And so when I click on the human transport, it turns yellow. I can click on the from conveyor and then click on the sync. And what you see down here is it went from conveyor to sync, creating that path. So we're telling the human pick some parts up and move them. Let's just see what happens. And we see nothing is happening yet. We forgot one step. We have to actually connect the human as a resource to the brains of the operation, the human transport. So let's just come back to home. And let's click on this object here, and let's click on interfaces, and we'll see that there's no resources assigned. So we can click on Anna, reset the demo, click on Anna, and drag that over to resources. And then we can click on pathways, and we can drag our pathways. So we have to tell this object, where can that human go? Maybe there's going to be some locations we don't want her to go. And then this object will say, maybe we have 2 or 3 humans that we'd want to be under control of this object, so we could just select all 3 and say these are all the resources. And then there's tools. So if we have a forklift or a pallet jack, we could set those up as tools, and so then the human would go grab the forklift and move the pallet, etc. So now that we have that, let's click off of interfaces, and let's see if we can hit play. We have parts being created. Anna goes, picks the parts, and then drops them off. Perfect. Now the only other thing we may want to do is put an obstacle in here. So let me pause this and hit reset. Let's just add a generic cube. So we'll say basic shape and block. And maybe I'll make this 1,000 and 1,000. Give her something that she has to actually walk around instead of a straight path. And let me click on move, and I'll just move this kind of like, oops, I don't think I was on blue. I'm gonna go top view, click on the blue, put that right in her path. Now let's see what happens when we reset the demo and hit play. She's gonna pick the parts up, and she has to walk around the block. If we slow this down and we look above overhead view, we can clearly see that she's gonna have to go around the block. We can actually make the block a little bit bigger if we want. So let's come here and say 1,500 and 1,500. And there she has to walk all the way around. So as she's doing this, then you may be asking, okay, that's great. What statistics can I gather about this simple demo? Well, we have a nice statistics tab. You can select what the graph layout might look like. I'll just do a two in a horizontal fashion here. So select that. Maybe I want a line chart, and I tell you what, we're just going to do 2 line charts just to keep it simple. What we'll see over here on the side then is chart 1 and then chart 2, and we can tell it what we want. So if we say component, let's look at Anna, and let's say what property we want. Let's do statistics and utilization, and that will be our one. We could add lines to each one of these graphs. I'm just going to keep it simple. And then graph 2, maybe we want to look at, we can add a new component. So let's click add, and maybe we want to look at the conveyor. Maybe when we want to see how long it's taking to create a part or move the part, so we can say statistics and then average time. And now we have our statistics. That's all we have to do. We can hit play, speed this up. Maybe we want to do like a 30x, and there we go. So we can see immediately. Let's actually make this a little better. Legend, visibility. Click on here, get the legend in there. So this is utilization. This is parts average time. So Anna is being heavily utilized, and that makes sense. And we actually have a backup, and that's why the average parts are increasing and increasing. So we're creating way too many parts. So that's one of the things we could do. We could stop this, and we could say, go to our feeder. Let's hide our statistics for now. Go to our feeder block. Reset the simulation, and now that we have our feeder created, let's just do every 30 seconds to create a part, and let's do a play, and that looks a little bit better. She actually has enough time. Let's go back to our statistics. So average part time is now 12 seconds, and her utilization is dropped to 75. Ooh, that still seems a little bit high. What else could we do? Well, let's close this statistics out. Actually, we can just leave it. We can just drag it here. Why don't we go ahead and eliminate this obstacle for her? So we'll get rid of this. And you know what? I think if I would spend the money to move the table, that would help. So again, you're trying to convince management, so let's hit move. This whole thing as a group. Top view is easiest to see the little blue dot, so that when we select or blue rectangle, when we select that, we can just drag in that horizontal plane. Now we're going to put it right beside and maybe come back to, I like this isotropic view here, left, front, and top, and reset the demo, hit start. Oh, that looks like she's got a lot more time. What did her statistics go to? Oh, nice. Now she's down in the 50%. So this would be a way we could convince management, let's rearrange the machines, let's move a machine, maybe add manpower. There's a lot, the possibilities are endless with this. This is just trying to get you to understand how quickly we can get up and running, simulating an environment, seeing the statistics, making changes, looking back at the statistics, etc. So I hope that was helpful for you. I know it was a lot. Thanks again, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. And that concludes the video. Thanks again for watching another episode of Mitsubishi Electric Automation Mastered, where we show how quick and easy it is to become a master of Mitsubishi Electric industrial controls. Thanks and have a great day.